towards good money habits, because the money habits that they may have developed already or started forming by that young age might not be the right money habits that will help them thrive financially in their lives. They might not be the right money habits to help them to progress financially in their lives. So it's very important to start at that young age. When I tell people that you can start teaching children from as young as 5 about money, very often they are quite shocked. Very often they are shocked that, is it necessary to teach such a young bird at such a young age? And it is important. We want to teach them at a young age so that they can become used to it, so that the language of money becomes normal to them. So that by the time they are done with varsity, by the time they're done with college and they are adults themselves, they don't have to spend the first part of their adulthood learning what it is to be financially literate. When they reach their 20s, they're then able already by then to start, spreading their wings and having a better understanding of finances. So it is very important. We want them from a young age to be comfortable with some of the lingo, some of the financial lingo that adults struggle with. We want them to be comfortable with spending money. We want them to be comfortable with saving. We want them to be comfortable with investing and so on. We want it to become part of their conversation and part of their vocabulary. So it's quite similar, Tafi, to any life skill, really. Money is really, learning about money is like it's part of life skills. So when you teach your child how to cook, I believe cooking is a life skill. When you teach your child how to cook, you're teaching them about the safety of being in the kitchen. You're teaching them, at what age they need to use a knife, how to use a knife so that they remain safe, how to switch a stove on, how to, find their way around the kitchen. And money, because money, like a stove, is just a tool, we need to teach our children from a young age so that they're comfortable in the world of money and they don't get burnt and they don't, cut themselves with regards to money.
Thank you very much, Nthabiseng, and also for raising that issue that, like any other skill, the children have to be taught. It's amazing sometimes how we think we can teach our children to cook, to clean the house, but as of money, probably they'll see it when they're adults, and we start from there. So I totally agree that. Starting them young is very crucial, and yes. Normally when a habit is instilled in you at a tender age, it's very difficult to let go, even when you're an adult. Yes, so I totally agree on that. And Robert Kiyosaki says that we were not taught financial literacy in school. It takes a lot of work and time to change your thinking and to become financially literate. Would you want to expound on that? Yes, many schools don't teach financial literacy, and why is it like that?
Before I touch on the schools, I just want to touch on back to money skills being a life skill. Similar to cooking. I think one of the reasons that parents shy away from teaching their children is because as parents, often we don't know either. It's very hard to teach someone something that you don't know, something that you are not comfortable with and familiar with. And that's actually one of the reasons why even some schools do teach very basic financial literacy, but the majority of schools don't teach financial literacy because, number one, in my opinion, I don't think there is leadership has not possibly progressed enough to appreciate the importance of financial literacy. So a lot of the leadership in schools and in the education system as well, they don't understand the dangers. They might be aware of the dangers, but they don't truly understand the dangers of individuals not being financially literate. When I deal a lot with individuals, so I coach a lot of people, And a big part of my work is undoing the bad decisions, the poor decisions that people have made throughout their lives. Now, if they had been prepared, if they had been trained, if they had been upskilled on money, many of those poor decisions would not have been made. If a poor decision is made, then they would be better able and better positioned to bounce back from those poor decisions. But as you said earlier on, often we are so focused on our children, our young adults making money and forget about teaching them how to then spend the money that they've made. So schools definitely need to do a lot more in introducing financial literacy in schools. I think a lot of the leaders in schools are intimidated, and they intimidated by the jargon. There's so much financial jargon, and finances can be quite complex, compound interest and all these terms can be intimidating to a lot of people. So I think they tend to shy away from then teaching children something that they perhaps do not understand themselves.
Thank you very much. I was just thinking, I remember doing finance at university. Believe me, as we're talking about the jargon, I left just knowing that there's a put option, call option, but how does it help? How do I apply it in real life?
Yes.
So I really understand where you're coming from. But how can we then change that? Because if our lecturers are just giving us maybe theory, which we can't even apply, and I graduate with a bachelor in accounting, maybe with a first, second class, but all I'm working with is just the basics. I just know there's the investments, there are shares. You need to buy shares and to be part of a shareholder of a company, but I don't know where to start. How can that be improved? Maybe, I don't know, in the education system, you say that the teachers are intimidated. How do we change that? Because if my lecturer who has got a PhD in finance is just leaving me knowing put or call option, what more of me a stay-at-home mom? How can I? It's even more difficult for me to impart that knowledge into my child. Because some of these things we expect the teachers who are paid to do it, to at least give a foundation, but I've realized even what they call financial literacy school, it's just the basic theory, which you probably not be able to implement. So even if you do a business plan, it's more or less theory, which when it then go into business, you're starting from scratch. So how can that be improved? Or maybe from the parents' point of view, how can we then help our children maybe meet each other with the teachers? And
great question, Tapatswa. From a parent's perspective, I think, first of all, I think the practical part of it is a lot more important than the theoretical part. Obviously, it's good to have those concepts and understand that there's a concept called interest, there's a concept called saving, there are all these concepts. But in the home, where as a stay-at-home mom, I do have interaction with money. I do have interaction with money, whether it's me going to the grocery store, there is some interaction that I have with money. So therein, in my daily life, therein lies the opportunities to teach my children about money. So I'll give a couple of examples. So when your child is very young, let's say from the age of 5 until the age of about 8, that's a good time to allow your child to have small money. It can be tuck shop money. When they go to school, they're able to buy sweets or whatever, tuck shop at school. You can give your child that tuck shop money, and help them understand that they have an opportunity to put some of that money away. If they put some of that money away, next week, they will have more money and they'll be able to buy more things at the tuck shop. So having those gentle conversations with your children around what they see in front of them, For children that age as well, you can encourage your child. You can together create a money tin or a money box. You know, it doesn't have to be fancy. Get a box, an old box of cereal, cut a little slit in it, decorate it with your child, and that can be your child's money box. And make it exciting for your child. And you encourage your child. You know, how much do you want to save? What do you want for your birthday? You know, would you like to buy daddy something for his birthday? Let's start saving. So when I give you 10 Rand for tuck shop, you can spend 8 Rand, 2 Rand you put into the money box. Those small, it's very small, but it can be so impactful because it is a reality that the stay-at-home mom or anybody can apply. Another example would be when we talk about introducing a child to the lingo of money. When you take your child to the grocery store, let them help you to pick things off the shelf. They might not be able to calculate or add the items, but let them pick stuff off the shelf. So you can say, oh, on my grocery list, I've got oil. Okay, let's get oil. And then you just talk through your thinking. So you go, okay, so this oil is 54 Rand. I'm making an example. This oil is 54 Rand. This oil is 50 Rand. The quality is the same, but this one that costs 50 Rand is more affordable. So I'm going to take this one. Nana, please pick up that 50 Rand oil for me and put it in the trolley, the child. So it's really bringing your child into your life, because so much of our lives revolves around money. So bringing your child into that with those type of examples. Another example that I give to parents is, let's say you are paying for something, maybe fuel, you're paying for fuel, or you're paying for something at the till. Explain to your child that when you're paying, your small child, when you're paying, you might be paying with a card. Is that a credit card or is it a debit card? If it's a debit card, take the opportunity to explain to your child that, you know, mommy is using a debit card. This is actually my money. The bank is keeping it for me, but this is my money. When you're paying with a credit card, this is actually the bank's money. The bank has borrowed me this money. It opens up conversations. When you're back in the car, or back at home, your child, now you've piqued your child's interest. Oh, mommy, you know, at the shop you said this and this and this. What is credit? What is debit? You begin the conversation with your child in an age-appropriate way, and allow your child to then lead the conversation by the questions that they ask. Then when your child is a little bit older, I have a 10-year-old, and children these days are so much more advanced than at least I was, or even we were. You know, they're exposed to a lot more technology. Even the knowledge that they have is so much more advanced. My son is talking about starting a business. He's talking about creating a website for his business. They are a lot more advanced. So as parents, we need to take cues from our children. They already know a lot about money. Our responsibility is just to guide them, listen to those cues, and make sure that they're not getting lost in their understanding of what saving is, on what investing is, on the value of money. So that's another example. So there are ways, Taba. So there are many ways, because money is all around us. Then when your child gets older, when your child is now a teen, now we can have a few more formal conversations with our child by using examples. Hey, Nana, you know, and being honest, you know, teenagers especially, they appreciate honesty from their parents. They appreciate knowing that their parents are human and they make mistakes. Confiding, you know, in an age-appropriate way to your child. Hey, Nana, you know, when I was in my 20s, I didn't know much about money. I took out so much debt. And these are the consequences. I would love for you to have a different experience. And this is what I think you should do. Don't be in a hurry to take out debt. You know, encourage your child also, because they are so tech savvy. Encourage your child to seek information on the internet together. You do it together. So you say to your child, you know, I don't know much about investing on the stock exchange. How about on Thursday evening, once you're done with your homework, let's Google something together and watch a YouTube video together on investing. You sit with your child, you watch the video together. It's an opportunity for you to learn and for you to have conversations with your child about money.
Thank you very much, Nthabiseng, for such insightful information, sorry. Yes, I think I'm actually guilty, especially when I go shopping with my children. I want to pick the stuff on my own. If they can remain in the car, sometimes the better. Because then I know I'm in charge of my budget, and they won't pick what we're not budgeted for. So yeah, sometimes we do that as parents. We actually want to manage, but as we're saying, it's actually an opportunity for them to grow. And I agree with you that children of today, they know a lot. And actually, some of the things that I do, I actually get help from my children. I must confess, they know a lot. So yes, it's actually a good opportunity for us even to learn from them, because some of these things they know, they start their small businesses at a very tender age, of which when we were growing up, business was far-fetched. Like if we're at university, we're there to study and to learn. There was no time to start a business, but I've seen even my children starting their business in their own way. So I really appreciate it. It's eye-opening, yes.
On the one of the grocery shopping, believe me, I can relate as well. There are times I might be going grocery shopping. I want to be in and out 15 minutes maximum, you know. So in instances like that, I do leave my children as well. But when I do have a little bit more time, I do then, you know, involve them in it. Something else that I do that is a money lesson in itself is get your children to write the grocery list. Get them to go around the house, check what is finished, check what is almost finished. Do they need tomato sauce? Is it oil? Is it rice? Foam bath, whatever it is that you and your family buy, let them write down the list. My daughter started writing a list when she was very small. I think she was about 5. I mean, some of the things she wrote were things like ice cream and sweets and all the things that she liked, but she couldn't write. So she would draw little pictures to depict the grocery list. So a child can learn financial literacy from a very young age. So my daughter would draw. She would draw what looks like a tub of ice cream. She would draw what looks like juice bottles and so on. So, and what involving them in writing the grocery list teaches them quite a lot as well. It teaches them about planning. It teaches them about creating a budget. It teaches them, if you take the time, it can teach them about the difference between needs and wants. So once you're done now with that grocery list, they give it to you. Now you're ready to go shopping. You need to obviously vet that list. You go through that list and then have a short conversation. These things that don't have to be these laborious, interactions with our children. You just quickly go through the list and you say, oh, okay, Nana, oh, I see here you wrote chips and you wrote pizza and you wrote all of these things. I'm not going to buy them today. What is most important are the needs. These are needs, the rice and the soap and the roll-on and that type of thing. You're teaching them now the difference between needs and wants. When Mama goes to the grocery store, I'm going to look at I'm going to buy the needs first. And if there's money left afterwards, I'm going to buy your ice cream. Those type of conversations go a long way in teaching our children.
Thank you very much. And Ntuzelo is saying, I do that almost every time, writing grocery list. So there's a mom agreeing with you there.
Yes, wonderful.
There's a mom agreeing with you there. And at what age would you encourage a child to have a bank account, if any? My children have bank accounts, but sometimes they close their accounts, sometimes they
don't care about it sometimes.
Yes, and sometimes you see
Yeah.
the cards, it's all over the place, and yeah, how can you then instill that discipline? Maybe for them to maintain the bank account and probably to appreciate that they need to have some money in the bank, because to them, if something comes up, they want to take the money out, because if I get more tax, then I'll deposit, and sometimes they
Yeah.
never deposited anyway.
Yes, great question, Tafi. It depends on your child's age. When the kids are very young, I encourage parents to rather have physical banks, like a piggy bank, the box, the tin, when they're very young. So under the age of, I'd say 8, they need to see physically how money works. So when I put money into a tin, I put 10 Rand into a tin, and I use that money, it means that tomorrow my tin is going to be empty. So they need to understand that physically first, before they can understand it virtually, which is where a bank comes in. With a bank, even with us as adults, it's so easy to just swipe. When you just swipe, it's hard to stay accountable, and it's hard to keep track of exactly how much money is left. So let's get them understanding the basics first, physically. And then when they're from maybe 8 years old, and of course, parents, you know your children much better than I do. These are, of course, just guidelines. But from the age of about 8, and definitely when they are teenagers, they should have a bank account. How to manage the bank account when they're teenagers? What I would recommend is that they should be responsible for some serious items to pay. So serious items like, when they're teenagers, their own toiletries. They should buy their own toiletries. They should buy their own airtime and data. And then whatever's left behind, they can use for whatever you and your family, want them to spend the money on. So they are then responsible for ensuring that whatever allowance, if you give them an allowance, or whatever money they make, I don't know how you specifically give your child money, but they are responsible for ensuring that they buy the toiletries every month. So they will become conscious and deliberate of the prices of items, because they want to buy McDonald's and they want to buy all the yummy things, but they also need to buy the important things. So give them an opportunity to buy things that are important to them, things that are needs and things that are wants. So that's how I would advise you on that one. And then, take time out for them to report back to you, to do a little reconciliation, or to report back to you before they receive their next allowance. They must come to you, Mama. Okay, so this month I was able to buy my toiletries, no problem. I ran out of money for airtime. That's why last week I asked you and Daddy to buy me airtime. This is what happened. And we don't lambaste them. We want them to make mistakes, money mistakes, while they are in our care. We want them to feel what it's like to run out of money. We want them to experience all those things while they are in our care, in our loving care, so that we can guide them, so that they can make a mistake this month. Next month, they learn, oh, you know what? If I buy McDonald's first, it means I can't buy soap. It means I can't buy roll-on. It means I can't buy those things that are even more important. So that's how I would approach that one, Tafi.
I really appreciate Nthabiseng is saying here, wow, brilliant idea to make them pay for their toiletries, data and airtime. Informative session. Thank you, Nthabiseng. Yes, I was also going to comment before you mentioned that they need to give to reconcile, or to tell you how they are using the money, because I wanted to ask that, how then do you manage? Because if they have their accounts, they keep on putting the money. These days, children being involved in drugs, alcohol, and all those things, even at school level. You're also careful not for them to have lots of money somewhere where you don't know how it's going to be accounted for or to be used. So yeah, so I wanted to also maybe for you
Thank
to
you.
elaborate
Thank you
on
for
that one,
mentioning
because
that.
it's also a fear in parents, you know, where you are not sure if they have too much money, are they not going to misuse it? You know, and especially you find at school sometimes there's that peer pressure to keep up with
Oh, yes.
with the Jones. So you find
Yes.
if they have money because they want to be accepted and to be part of the elite at school, they'll actually end up misusing the money. So as you said, they must give an account of the money. So with the giving account, do they need like to give you a bank statement? Won't you be like kind of intruding, a bit of intruding, especially for the teenagers? They kind of feel, I've got my life. And if you if you ask them to bring a bank statement monthly, won't
I
they
think,
feel like,
you know, I appreciate that teenagers can be quite tricky. I think there's two ways that one could approach it. One is the account that they open. Remember, they need your approval for them to open an account because they are minors. So what you could do is open a custodial account, open a custodial transactional account, which is basically I bank with bank A. My children's accounts have their own accounts, but their accounts are linked to my account, you know. I'm able to transfer funds if I want to transfer funds. I'm able to view transactions. I can see their bank statement without them showing me their bank statement, and so so that's the one possible solution. The second possible solution is to just, I know it sounds easier said than done, but if I am giving you an allowance, then I have the right to check how that money is being used. That's number one. Secondly, as a parent, I'm helping you as well. You know, I'm giving you exposure to having an income through the allowance. And secondly, I need to see how that money is being used. I'm preparing you for the real world, because in the real world, you do have to be accountable, whether you are accountable to your family, or you're accountable to a boss, or you're accountable to your employees, whatever. Accountability is a big lesson that our children need to learn. So sitting down with your child and saying, if you want an allowance, these are the terms and conditions. One of the terms and conditions is accountability, it's the reconciliation, it's the bank statement, and so on. You know, the bank statement itself, Tafatswa, is a great learning opportunity as well, because so many people don't look at their bank statement at all. So it's a learning opportunity for your child that you can use for your child as well, to explain to them what bank charges are, to explain to them how a bank statement works, what they need to look out for. Fraudulent activities often go through people's bank accounts. So you're teaching your child also how to keep their bank account secure.
On that lessons learned from the bank statement, besides the fraudulent, the bank charges, are there any other lessons? And yeah, what more could you teach your child from that?
So at this age, you know, your children shouldn't really be having credit lines, credit cards, and so on. But you can use your own bank statement and show them. Show them what a home loan bank statement looks like. Show them what a credit card statement looks like. You show them, okay, this is a credit limit. This is how much mommy or daddy has to spend every month. Oh, this is how much mommy and daddy has been given by the bank to spend. This is my credit limit. It's not my money. The bank has borrowed this to me. And then if you look here, you see there's an interest here. This interest is the interest that the bank is charging me. So every single month, I need to pay back the bank plus something extra. You know, so you can take them through your own bank credit card, just to start helping them understand debt a little bit, helping them understand that the bank's money is not your money. Yeah, so that's another way that one could use a bank statement.
Thank you very much. Bridget is saying accountability is important, and I see you're raising a lot of accountability in the presentation, and also being responsible, because basically if you are telling them how to manage the credits, you're teaching them to be responsible. But some of these things, as we were saying, that when you talk to adults, you realize that most of the mistakes that they're making is because they were not taught in childhood. It's only because some people have only got the credit card when they were adults. And you realize maybe there's some 20,000 rands from the bank, which you may not need to pay then. So you actually think maybe it's time to go to Foshin and just swipe and get clothes. Then you realize when you can't pay that, oh, you actually got yourself into trouble. So yeah, a lot of things we got to know when we were adults. As a parent, if I can probably afford, and I have assets maybe which I can hand over to my children when they are adults, is there a need for my children to start investing at a tender age? Or maybe they can just use their pocket money for whatever they want? Because after all, the future is secure.
I think if you are able to, if you can afford to, I would say invest for them. So you do the investing for them. That's on the one end. And if your child is able to invest for themselves, if you have the time to open a custodial investment account for them, many of these institutions do allow parents to do that. So you open the investment account for them. But what is very important is explaining to them what is going on. And I want to just go back to teaching children about money in a physical way. So before your child graduates to having an investment account, you need to be comfortable that they understand physically what an investment is. And one of the ways that you can do that, if you're able to, is you can agree with your child, okay, every time, if by in a month's time you have saved 200 Rand, you just agree with your child. I'm making examples. If in a month's time you've saved 200 Rand, I will give you an extra 20 Rand. So every time you save 200 Rand, I'm going to put in 20 Rand. That is investing. That is really the foundation of what investing is. That is really the foundation of taking money, putting it somewhere, and allowing that money to stay there and grow. So let your child understand that first, and then you can graduate them to having an investment account. I think it is good for a child to start investing at an early age. A couple of tips that you definitely need to teach your child is that investing does not have guarantees. There are risks and there are rewards to investing. You need to teach them that. You need to teach them about, or allow them, if you don't know as a parent, allow them the opportunity to be curious about trading, about investing on the stock exchange, about investing in property and all that, and learn together. In my home, we have what we call a money date. So once a month, that's our date. That's our time for us to go through our bank statements, to check our investment accounts, to do all that, one evening per month. So that's something that parents could also introduce, because I know it can be so overwhelming. We have so much to think about as parents. You have to keep your child fed, you must keep your child clothed, you must keep your child educated, and all these things. So one thing that you could do is have a date, a money date every single month, where you look at everything related to money, including investment accounts. Yes, and another lesson, sorry, Tafi, that I need to just add is something else we need to teach our children when it comes to investing, is that you don't take all your money, all your income and invest it. That's also important. Something else we need to teach them about investing is about investing in different things, so you want to diversify. You don't want to just invest in property only or the stock exchange only, and so on. So teaching them about diversification as well. That's getting very technical, but when they are ready to graduate to that level, then you get more technical, and you can learn together as well. Yeah.
At what age would you teach a child to invest in property? Isn't there an age limit? Like
no, I don't think there's an I don't think there's an age limit, because remember, when we're teaching our children about all these concepts and all these things, we're not necessarily sitting them down and showing them on a whiteboard that this is property and this is an installment and so on. We're showing them practically, you know. When you are driving somewhere after church on a Sunday and you see a property development, you know, stop there, go in if you're able to. Allow your child to ask questions to the real estate agent about, okay, so there are all these flats here, what is going on, how do you invest, and all that. Allow your child the opportunity to ask those questions. If you yourself have got property that you have invested in, when you go and you check on your tenants, or when you go and you're collecting your money, take your child with you. Let them understand, you know, what is happening, or let them observe you as you are living your life, as you are investing in property and so on. So no, Tafi, it might be early for your child to invest themselves in property, but there are ways that you can support your child in investing in property. There are many investment platforms, like a real estate. They can invest on the stock exchange. They can invest in ETFs. They can invest. There are many vehicles for investing in property. So take your time with your child. This month, maybe we're focusing on property investment. You watch a couple of videos, you discuss it. Next month, maybe you look at livestock investing. Yeah, so that would be my.
In other ways, for those who have got money, you can actually buy property for the child. Then you teach them as you go along. Like when you go to monitor or check the property, and they are probably more motivated knowing that it's their property, which maybe that has been invested on their behalf. Well, there are many people when they grew up, because mommy had a tuck shop, a shop they used to also go and help out. But some grew up to be real good business people, and others did not become good business people, despite the fact that they used to help mommy with their small store of tomatoes or chips. How do we differentiate, or how then do we, what causes that? That some people can still be exposed and grow to be good business people, and others, children, also exposed and still probably not even get to be in any form of business. Is it how then, how then do we reconcile the two? Those who see the benefits of it, even if they are not taught, because some of the parents will take their children to manage the market. It's not because they want to teach them financial literacy. It's probably because they have got other work to do. So to manage it, the child, even at a tender age, is exposed to some form of business. So how would you explain that some would then learn the lessons on their own and apply them even in their adulthood, and some would just learn, but they just leave it there?
Great question, Tafi. I think the short answer is that we are dynamic individuals, all of us. I have 3 siblings, and we are all completely different. And that's the answer. We are completely different, and we learn differently as well. So, you know, when I think back to even when I was at school, some children in my class would learn by doing physically. Some children were good at learning theory and conceptualizing, you know, understanding the theory and conceptualizing it and interpreting it into a real world situation. Some people learn audibly, they learn from listening. So we are all different, you know. That's the first reason why there is that difference. The second reason is that as parents, the reality is that we can do all we can, but to prepare our children for the world. But at the end of the day, they will choose their own path. And it's difficult sometimes for us as parents to accept that, but our children will choose their own path. All we can do is what we can do. Equip them, expose them, and believe that they will follow the right path. Because we can't make those decisions for them. When push comes to shove, we can't make those decisions for them. But at the same time, as parents, we do have a responsibility to at least expose them, at least expose them, at least teach them. And then when they're grown up, it's up to them to choose their own path.
Thank you very much for that, because I think there's more motivation if a child probably is interested in business, to invest more in that regard. Even when, as a parent, you are more encouraged to teach them more about business, or even to encourage them to follow that path if they have that interest. But with some, they may not actually show any interest in the business or the finance. But I really appreciate the input.
I think,
yes.
I think also Tafi, if parents are able to, as I said, our children learn differently. If you find that how and what you are teaching your child in the home regarding finances is not working, your child is not really grasping the concepts, or they don't really have an interest in it, perhaps seek a different type of format for teaching them. Maybe the YouTube videos on child financial literacy would appeal better to them. Maybe if there's an older cousin that they have a good relationship with, maybe the older cousin can teach them certain things. So of course, we don't want to give up on our children. Try different things, but don't send them out into the world without even teaching them anything about financial literacy.
Yes, I really appreciate that. We need to make an effort. There's a comment here: equip, expose, and believe in them. So I guess it's summarizing what we're just discussing here, that we need to equip our children. And there's a question here: how do you open an account for kids and investing if you, as a parent, you don't have enough?
I mean, that's a great question. I think what is most important is for you as a parent to take care of yourself. And so I like to use the example of when you are on a plane. So when you go on a plane and they're telling you about all the safety, how to deal with certain things, one of the things they say is, if the oxygen masks come down, when the oxygen masks come down, let's say you're sitting next to your child, if there's an oxygen mask that comes down, there's one for you that comes out directly in front of you, there's one for your child. The first thing you must do is take the oxygen mask for yourself, and once you have oxygen, you can then help your child. So to that person's question, it is very important that you take care of yourself and your finances as well. Get your finances in order, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think an expectation that you must have give your child investment accounts and all that while you don't have, I think that's a very unfair expectation. Teaching your child about what is available out there, I think is still very important, so that your child can learn from you as well, and don't be afraid to tell your child that, I might not have these things, I might not have an investment account, but I'd love for you to do better, to do good. And this is the information that I want to share with you.
Yes, I agree with you, Nthabiseng, that sometimes they don't necessarily have to have the investment accounts if the resources are not allowing. But children learn from watching. And when they see us, how we manage our finances, they learn. And they remind you at sometimes, children are very good at reminding you where you've gone wrong, and if you're correcting them on how to manage their finances, they can actually remind you that, but that's also how you manage your finances. So sometimes they may not necessarily have an investment account, but just learning, and they will remember. Maybe if you just tell them that, as Nthabiseng was saying, that if you're using a credit card, you need to explain to your child that this is not my money, this is the bank's money. So when they get to that age where they get a credit card, they will remember that mommy used to say, this is not my money, this is the bank's money. So they also manage their funds responsibly. We've got another comment here. When I was growing up, I found games such as Monopoly useful in teaching certain financial concepts and thoughts on useful games. So yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Children especially learn from doing, and they learn from playing. So that's a wonderful a tool to use in the home to learn more about finances. I love that. Yeah.
Thank you for that comment. Yes. What would be the closing remarks? I don't see more questions here. If you have any closing remarks, I really appreciate. We've learned a lot, and we'll need to implement some of these things. We're just teaching children, but we're not really being particular about it, like giving being accountable. I don't remember sitting down with my child asking them how they're using their tag. They should show me their bank statement. We talk a lot, they share. So I guess maybe I needed to have those dates with them and actually discuss the details. Would you have, what would be your closing remarks?
My closing remarks are that, being a parent can be really tough. And I appreciate that because there's so much to juggle. And so my closing remarks would be for parents to just find those little opportunities in their day, in their life. It might be a sentence here. It might be taking out that credit card and just, letting your child do the swiping and then you explain something to them. It might be taking out your card and explaining something about the CVV at the end of the card, something. There are always these opportunities for us to teach our children something. The hardest thing, I think, for me personally as a parent, is teaching by example. And children learn from example. So when I do wrong things, chances are my children are also going to do the wrong things. So parents, take care of yourselves, get your finances in order, seek help, upskill yourself, increase your knowledge so that your children can learn from you. And that's one of the best ways that we can teach our children.
Thank you very much, Nthabiseng. I hope as parents we have been challenged to even upskill ourselves, because you can't teach what you don't know, as Nthabiseng mentioned. And I see people are commenting. I would definitely do money dates with my family. So people are going to implement that
wonderful
today. Just before we close, would you want to share again where people can find you if they want to connect with you?
Okay, so I am on Facebook Nthabiseng Monoge, on Instagram as well. And if you want to email me, book any speaking engagements, book coaching sessions, the best way to do that is info@moneyrelations.co.za. And I hope to hear from you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And for those who ask questions, we really appreciate. For those who are commenting, we also appreciate. And it's good to learn together and to grow together. Our children will not make the same mistakes as we have made, because they've had an opportunity to learn. And us as their parents have also been taught. If you'd want to check our website, it's www.tafazamazbuko.speaks.co.za, or you can send us a WhatsApp if you need us to if you need us for anything regarding what we do on the dream that is worth fighting for. You can also follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Dream That Is Worth Fighting For. Have a great weekend ahead.